Today, this engine that we rebuilt and this gearbox, which we rebuilt, will be going into this Ferrari, and we're going to be starting it for the first time in over 7 years. Hopefully. My dad and I have spent countless hours trying to rebuild this gated manual Ferrari.
And that is what happens when you try and compress a fluid.
As I bought it with a stripped, damaged engine and a gearbox in 1,000 pieces. But even without the Ferrari workshop manual, we've managed to rebuild the engine and for the first time ever, rebuild an entire gearbox. Insert. But today's the day we find out whether all our hard work's paid off, but not without finishing a few vital jobs first. Right, to get this into the Ferrari, we've got to attach the gearbox to the Ferrari engine. But before we do that, I've still got a load of sensors and a load of little things which still need to be fitted to the Ferrari engine before we do so, and the same with the gearbox. So my dad's going to do the gearbox, I'm going to do the engine, and then we're going to put them together. Let's hope it goes well. Getting to anything on the engine whilst the engine's in the engine bay can be really difficult. So we've got to make sure it's all attached now. Coolant temperature sensor. On goes the coolant temperature sensor. And then there's all of these cam sensors to go on. All of these cam sensors are numbered. Ferrari do that. The issue is they don't number the wiring loom. And as we never took this engine apart, we have no idea where they plug into. And all of these plugs are the same. So you can easily mix them all round. Even the crank sensors can be mixed up with the cam sensors. So at the minute, we're just gonna guess. And someone has marked them here with their own marking. We have no idea what that marking means because we're now plugging it onto a sensor which we've bought. So there's no other marking. So we can only plug it in what we think is right, but if it's not right, then the engine literally will not start. Yeah, it's quite a difficult one, really, but I guess we won't find out until we turn the key.
Do you think we're in the right position?
No comment.
Meanwhile, my dad's over on the gearbox trying to remove the old release bearing. The release bearing is in charge of releasing the clutch. You can see here it pushing against the clutch to release it.
Hey!
Look at that.
Sometimes the bearing wears on these and they become noisy, or they can even start to have leaky seals, which would get clutch fluid all over your clutch, which wouldn't be great. So on goes the new one, and then the last thing for the gearbox is the gearbox oil filter, which just goes in the back here. Job done. It's just about ready, just about. The only thing we're missing now is spark plugs and coil packs. We've got the injectors in, and then also one thing that we're gonna have to put on before it goes into the engine bay is the exhaust manifold, because we won't get to all these bolts here. But we have got some special exhaust manifolds. Check these bad boys out. These are Capristo long tube headers, which should actually increase the performance of the 430. That's if it starts. Scuderia Parts kindly sorted us out with these Capristo headers, and if the Ferrari does start, then we've got a full exhaust system on the way for it. But for now, the headers go on first. I would love to put the engine in first and start it and see if it runs, but you can't actually put the engine in without the gearbox, because this gearbox has got to go on. This bit on the top of the gearbox, there's a canister on here, like a tank, which holds all the oil for the engine. So you have to have that on to put the engine in, which is like, the first time I've ever seen it, because it's a dry sump. So this has got to go on next, I think. But we're moving. This was an automatic gearbox, which we convert into a manual. So a lot of the places where it had holes for sensors just have blanking plugs now, apart from this part on the diff, which we missed out. There's loads of oil lines going to this gearbox, and there's one missing here. Come here, check that. Look, there's thread there, going in there. 2 oil lines going in here, which I assume feed the diff, and there's thread here as well. Now we've looked on the old case in here. This bit is fully perished, and we thought that was a line. It's actually a sensor. No, it's not. It's a regulator, isn't it? An oil regulator. And what the hell is that? We don't know what that is yet. The big one is a regulator valve, which is £319.66. Before that,
Oh, wounded.
I'm gonna have to buy that. And then, what the hell was that other one? This one turned out to be a pressure switch for the E-diff. Good news is they got it in. Bad news is £170 plus VAT for a silly sensor. More expense added to a never-ending Ferrari build. But the good news is we can put these sensors on with the engine in the car. So right now we're just going to attach the gearbox to the engine, and with that done, we'll then be able to add the oil canister to the gearbox, which will allow us to insert the engine oil. But there's a problem with that. And this is the canister which holds the oil. Ooh.
That is
Oh no!
Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
No.
Oh no!
Guess what?
no. Oh.
You put the pipe on wrong.
This pipe was meant to go to this part of the oil canister, but it was nowhere near. And turns out I didn't put the pipe on wrong. Look, it's all completely different.
Is that a brand new one?
Look, this has got two pipes coming out the edge, and then some going down the bottom. It looks like we've got an oil canister for a Ferrari 360 and not a 430. I painted this. I painted that. I don't think that's even off this car.
There's another grand we've had to pay.
This is just getting too expensive now. Another setback. But luckily I was able to order one, which should arrive soon. Time to apply some more parts. Vital part, starter motor. This is gonna go on right down the bottom here. And then we'll be able to turn the car on. This should be the last piece to go on before we put the engine and gearbox into the car. So close now. So obviously we're still missing a few parts. Some should arrive today, but our main goal is just to see if this car runs, and all we need for it to run is oil, fuel, and ignition. And I think we might have enough for that. We don't have that oil tank just yet, but it may come just in time. Let's see if we can get it running. This will be the last time we see an empty engine bay. Before we put the engine in, we're going to take off the boot lid just to give us that little bit extra space when lifting the engine and gearbox into it. Then to get the engine high enough, we're going to be using the 2-post ramp. We're going to tie a strap around 2 of the engine mounts and then 2 of the posts on the ramp, and then lifting it up like this. The same way we did the Murcielago. It's going to level out now. And then we're going to use the engine crane to pull up the gearbox and level it all out. Look at this, it's like David Blaine. One hovering Ferrari 430 engine. Magic. In comes the Ferrari, and we're going to bring the car to the engine and gearbox. Then we can lower the ramp down, being as steady as possible.
Oh, it's so close. It's almost in.
And bit by bit, being careful not to hit any of the bodywork or trap any of the wires, we got it in. Yeah! Ferrari engine in, start it up.
Not quite yet.
Not quite. No, not quite. Because although the engine's in, it's not held in by anything.
Wish I had a mockingbird. I wish
What we're trying to do now is the 2 lower engine mounts, just trying to get the bolts through it and line it up. Goes under here and into the engine mount. Ooh. There's 2 engine mounts on the Ferrari, and they're both at the bottom of it. One here and one here, which I'm doing up right now. After that, there's 2 cables we need to connect. One which goes to the starter motor, which allows us to start the car, which goes just about here.
had a pretty thing like you.
And the other one, a ground wire for the engine, which connects to the bottom of the engine here. Ferrari oil filter, come on. Luckily, the oil filter is in a pretty accessible place, So it's nice and easy to get on.
I could have done that.
Boom. Next up is the fuel lines. There's two from each side. There's a tank there and there's a tank there. And you've got one fuel line here and one fuel line over here. And these go into the fuel rail where the injectors sit as well. That's on. So that's both of the fuel rails on. And then we found something. We think we found the reason why the last gearbox was taken to bits, or another clue to why. So not only does the gearbox hold gearbox oil, but the diff has separate diff oil, which is controlled, well, it's filled up here. Then there's a separate pump here, but there's also, on this pump, there is, just here, there's something missing out of that. And we've later found the thing that's missing out of that is a pressure switch for the diff oil. So the only reason why that would have been taken out is if it's failed or something along those lines, and that's could have what's broken the diff. You can see here the two oil lines which lead from that reservoir and go directly to the side of the differential here. Now, if there was something wrong with the oil pressure, or even something wrong with the pump, and there wasn't any oil getting to the diff, that's what could have caused the whole thing to fail, hence why someone tried to take it apart and try and fix it. Luckily, the new pressure regulator has arrived, so we can screw that into the diff, and also the pressure switch, which sits on the side of the diff, has arrived as well. We've just got to hope everything actually works, or we could be taking this thing apart again. Moving back to get the engine started, we need to plug in both the ECUs. One's in. There is two wiring looms, one for each side of the engine. And as there's two wiring looms, there's two ECUs. The oil tank has arrived, so this goes on the gearbox. Fill up the oil through the top here, and all the oil sits in the gearbox, goes down through the bottom of the gearbox without going actually in the gearbox, and the oil pump sucks it through into the engine. And once this is fitted, we should be able to put some oil into the car and start it.
I think before we put that oil in there, it's dinner time.
You are right, it is dinner time.
It's not really dinner time, it is lunchtime, but lunch or dinner is fine. And that's what we're having. And these are a meal replacement drink, and these are going to be replacing our lunch because we don't fancy going out and getting anything because we want to get this thing started. 26 vitamins and minerals in them, high in fibre, high in protein, lactose-free, gluten-free, and no added sugar. That's right, which makes Y-Food the perfect meal replacement drink. It's not a diet drink, it's not a protein shake, it simply replaces one of your meals, which is much better than grabbing fast food at lunchtime. And after taking a sip, it reminded me I probably should put the throttle bodies on with the MAF sensors. Now there's loads of different flavours of Y-Food you can choose from. This one's Happy Banana, and this one's Classic Choco. This is called the Dream Team Bundle, which you can actually go and try for yourself. Now, whilst me and my dad are getting all the vitamins and minerals we need, we're about to put in the vitamins and minerals the engine and gearbox needs. 75W90. Bosh. First of all, in goes the gearbox oil. I probably could have started the car without this, but I didn't want to take any risks. After that, the separate reservoir for diff oil, which takes a special type of oil I had to order online. And I had no idea how much it took. Then I found out. After the gearbox oil and the diff oil, it's time finally for the engine oil. Now, I've been drinking Y-Food for years now, and it's a perfect meal replacement drink for people like us who are constantly on the go. You could try the Dream Team Bundle, which is the banana and the chocolate Y-Food, with the link in the description box below, and with this banner appearing underneath you right now, you can save yourself a nice bit of discount as well on that. Cheers, Y-Food. Let's get this thing started.
Do you want me to give you the battery and I'll pass it in, or?
No, Shin.
What we're going to try first is start it without the spark plugs or coils on. So there's no spark plugs there. That way we know it turns over and there's going to be no damage caused because there's no compression there, because it's going to throw anything that's in the cylinder out of those spark plug holes. If that works, we're then going to see if we've got spark. If we get spark, we're going to put spark plugs in, and then it's going to start. 5th attempt.
5th time?
Anyone who turns the key first time on a rebuilt engine and turns over and it starts up first time is a liar.
I think he's got a magic touch. I think he can do it first time. The battery doesn't go in there, does it?
Well, that's where it was.
Yeah.
The battery just goes in the footwell?
Yeah.
Ah.
And the fire extinguisher just behind it.
We've got power, we've got power.
It's connected.
It's going up. Going up. 3 bars of fuel. 4 bars! The fuel's going up.
What?
Full tank.
Wait, no, it's gone down a bit. I know what you have to do. Open the door. Close it.
And then we get more, fuel. Yeah.
Full tank! Full tank! Oh no, now we're 1 bar off full. This was it. We're about to turn the car over for the first time with no spark plugs in there. This should help up build oil pressure before we actually start it for real. But will it actually work?
Go.
Go! Yeah, okay, stop. Sounds very rattling.
Has it got oil?
The engine sounded terrible.
Go again.
Start. Very, very rattly.
I don't like that.
No.
I've got no pressure here.
No oil pressure.
No. Not yet.
That stinks.
Yeah, the fuel's going to come out, but that does not sound good. No, it just sounds like the bearings are shattering.
I'm going again.
And it just wasn't building up oil pressure. It really wasn't looking good. But then, things changed.
It sounded.
Oh, it sounded better.
Yeah, got pressure coming.
Pressure's coming, pressure's coming.
4 bar.
Full bar.
Oh!
It started to run silent.
Oil's getting round now, oil's getting round. Almost 5 bar.
Yeah, no towering, no towering. That was good.
That was good.
Yeah, over 5 bar.
How much damage did we do by
Doing that.
Because we couldn't have put any oil in the engine. So the engine was chattering there, which sounds like when you fuel. The engine was chattering, which sounds like when you've got bad bearings, but that's because of no oil pressure getting there between the bearings. If it carried on like that, it probably would have died. But we put that lube in first, and as it got oil pressure, it seemed to have stopped. But that was scary.
But
That sounded nasty. That did. Sounded like top end rattle. Yeah.
Yeah, the cams are the hydraulic tappets. They've got all filled up with oil.
Oh yeah, it's hydraulic tappets, isn't it? On like the Mercy, which was shimmed.
so we've got oil in the engine now, and we've got fuel and all the other fluids.
We know fuel's coming through because I can smell it.
Yeah. So now we just need spark.
This is where we find out whether we've plugged the right sensors into the right holes, because we're going to see if we've got a spark now. What we need next is a spark to ignite the fuel going into the cylinder. So we're going to see if we've actually got a spark first. The good thing about this is the wiring is actually marked. You can see there, look, we've got number 8, so we know that this one goes to the 8th cylinder, unlike any of the other electrical connectors on this car. We've got a coil pack, we've got a spark plug on the end, so we're hoping now when we crank it, we should see a spark coming out of that, and I don't fancy touching it, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah. Just a little bit, but it is.
Yes. We got spark. We don't know whether it's sparking at the right time though. And we'll find that out in a minute when we put spark plugs in the old. So now we're putting spark plugs into all 8 of the cylinders. And my dad's getting excited. We know we've got spark. We just don't know whether it's sparking at the right time yet. Coil. Number 8. In position. Now we need 7.
Look, we got all them plugs in the right way round first time.
The chance
That's
of those
gonna be
plugs being in,
amazing.
yeah, the chance of them all being right is very slim.
Somebody will be looking down on it.
If it's right, I did it. If it's wrong, so that's how we're going from now on. If it's right, then it's my claim to fame. But if it's wrong, then we're going to blame my dad. Just because we can. But now all the coils are going in the left-hand side of the engine, and my dad's put the coils in the right-hand side of the engine. When we turn the key now, it should start. Just in case.
That's optimistic that it's actually going to start.
You are?
Hannah's turning the key.
Through no choice of my own. Are you actually ready?
Yeah, ready when you are.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Keep it.
Yeah.
my god, that
It fired first time. Yeah. It fired first time. Right, well. I think this is a short video now. Do you want to start it again? No, yeah, because I didn't think you were going to start. Yeah. I'm going to stand a bit further back because I got
was, annihilated.
There was just fumes and everything going back here. Yeah, there's a lot of energy, yeah. How was it running that good? Yeah, it must have just turned off it automatically.
4 cylinders.
It was only running on 4 cylinders then. Oh. There was only firing out of this side. But everyone witnessed, that was my side. That was my side that I put the plugs on. I put the injectors on that side, so.
Did we check if there was a spark from this side? We didn't, did we?
No, we didn't check that side.
But it fired out of this side when it first started up. I can't believe it started up first. I said, anyone who says it starts up is rubbish, but that started up better than the Murcielago.
Butt in.
So the Ferrari actually started, but then it only started to run on 4 cylinders on the left-hand side of the engine. So now we've got to figure out why. First thing we're going to check are the spark plugs on the right-hand side to see if they've got spark.
Yeah, that's sparking.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got spark, so what are we missing?
So we have got spark on the right-hand side of the engine, but is it sparking at the right time? I'm going to go again, and I'm going to give it some revs this time and see if that'll sort it, maybe.
We've got flames!
Flames coming out that
It's like the Mercer. You can see by the excess of flames that it is sparking at the wrong time. So I went to go get the Autel to plug it into the OBD port to find out what was going wrong.
Oh.
Oh, it's not an OBD.
So it looks like the Ferrari requires some special plug, not an OBD2. So we can't see what the ECU is telling us to. Well, we can't see what the ECU wants to tell us on why that bank is not firing or not firing correctly. So I think we're going to have to figure it out the old school way and just like plug stuff in and unplug it. But then we found something. Yeah, so these are like the cam sensors, and these will be telling the whole car when the cams lobes are opening or closing the exhaust or the inlet. And if I've got these plugged in wrong, it could mess it up. Maybe we'll try and plug them in the other way around, but there's no way of knowing because the loom isn't marked up. So this is going to be very, well, we don't know. Could work, might not work.
This was Tony's side, so it could be wrong.
I know, that's the thing. So my dad's now going to switch over the cam plugs and just see if that makes any difference to the running of it. Here we go. Ready? Instantly, it was better. It was running on all 8 cylinders. I did that! Yeah, that was it. That ran way better.
Still flaming out there.
I forgot we probably shouldn't rev an engine when we've just rebuilt it, but got excited. That ran way better, and the throttle was doing what I want. A successful way to end the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I guess I'll see you in the next video where we find out whether this gearbox actually goes into gear. See you then. Peace out. Battery dies.